All right, are we ready to get started? No. It's not. Good afternoon. Thank you everyone for joining us today for Women's Entrepreneurship Day. Today, Greater Than Tech will be having a great webinar with an intrapreneur and an entrepreneur. And we're just really excited to hear their career journeys. And we're gonna go ahead and get started. Thanks for joining. Next slide. So on our agenda, we will tell you a little bit more about Greater Than Tech, what we do and what our program is about. We're gonna show you the difference between an intrapreneur and an entrepreneur. We'll introduce our speakers and then we're gonna hear about their career journey. And then after that, we'll follow up with some Q&A and wrap up today's webinar. So today, our webinar is hosted by the co-founders of Greater Than Tech, that's Brittany and I. My name is Jasmine LaFleur. I work for Collins Aerospace as a senior project engineer. I have a background in aerospace engineering from the University of Michigan, and I am a dual degree master's in engineering and MBA student at Purdue and Indiana University.
My name is Dr. Brittany Wheeler. I also work for Collins Aerospace. I'm a work transfer manager, and my background is in mechanical engineering, but a minor in aerospace, and I have a doctorate's degree in engineering management. Today's speakers are amazing. We were blessed enough to have them here with us today. We have Jeray Cotton, which is the engineering lead at Rocket Mortgage. And then we have Jasmine Sadler, which is the CEO of Steam Collaborative. And they're both, one's an entrepreneur and one's an intrapreneur. So we have two different aspects of the field today. So let's hear more about Greater Than Tech. Greater Than Tech is a nonprofit, and we specialize and are dedicated to increasing the number of women technology business leaders and owners by integrating both engineering and business education for girls of color. So we're really focused on teaching not only engineering, but the business aspect of things for girls of color. And we range in the middle school.
So Greater Than Tech is not your average STEM organization. We are reaching to levels beyond STEM by instilling the importance of self-efficacy in our programming, as well as entrepreneurial and teamwork mindset for all of our programs. We're doing this because we want girls of color to feel that they can go use STEM for whatever path they choose, whether it is for a corporate organization to be a leader there, or for them to create their own path in STEM and create their own business. And by doing so, we have development programs, workshops, competition, and training for our girls. So just a little bit more about the specifics of our programs. We do have a really great workshop. It's a one-day workshop called Tech Outside the Box, where we we go through the engineering design concept as well as some of the business model canvas for a one-day component. Outside of that, we have a development program coming up this upcoming summer where girls will be able to develop their own technology using 3D modeling and be able to pitch a business for that particular product that they created.
But we also do fun stuff. We do host competitions and also participate in competitions, and Ball being one of them. We hosted a group of middle school girls. So we do have competitions, and we also host trainings, and this will be educational as well as technical aspect for corporate as well as the school industry.
So going into our speaker introductions, I'll be announcing Jure's bio. Jure is a University of Michigan alumni, just like me. We met at in the NSBE at U of M. She is currently an engineering team lead for Rocket Mortgage, where she upgrades and creates content for 2 million monthly users for rocketmortgage.com. Her career started at Rocket Mortgage as a software engineer, where she actually gained coding skills from a great boot camp called Developer. Her initial career journey started at PepsiCo, and she holds a bachelor's in industrial and operations engineering from the University of Michigan. When Jure is not on the job, she spends time cooking and blogging and dining at Detroit's finest restaurants with the name Bougie Foodie. And she also volunteers as a mentor and program leader at Midnight Golf Program, an organization that she has participated in since she was a senior in high school. Outside of that, Jure is also born and raised from Detroit.
So our next speaker doesn't need an introduction, but I'll do my best to give her one. But it's Miss Jasmine Sadler. She's originally from Detroit as well, so she's also a Detroit native.
Midwest Connect.
Her educational background is in aerospace from the University of Michigan, and she holds an MBA in innovation and entrepreneurship for Point Loma Lorazan University, which allowed her to lead in both manufacturing operations and business matrix. And after celebrating the 5-year anniversary of her company, the STEAM Collaborative, Jasmine took a leap to go from full-time aerospace engineer to full-time entrepreneur in STEAM education. Jasmine specializes in education, entertainment, engineering, entrepreneurship in San Diego, California. So please, let's give a round for our speakers. So without further ado, we're gonna have them discuss entrepreneur as well as entrepreneur and tell you what it is and kind of the difference. Jasmine, please feel free to take it from there.
Hello, my name is Jasmine Sadler. Thank you all for having me. Such a great introduction and great to be here with all of you. So an entrepreneur is a person who organizes and operates a business or businesses, taking on greater than normal financial risk in order to do so. And so for me, the main financial risk is leaving my job as an engineer and trying to support and sustain my lifestyle and the things that I enjoy, which are dance and concerts and all things dealing with arts and STEM. And so, yeah, that's basically what you do. You take the risk and then ideally you come up with a greater reward from the risk that you take.
And hello, my name is Jure Cotton, and I'm what you describe as an entrepreneur. It's defined as a leader within a company who promotes innovative product development and marketing. So basically a leader who has the autonomy to develop content, come up with creative projects and work on them and drive them into completion.
And then some of the things that makes us a little different as an entrepreneur, they may refer to me as a game changer or an innovator. I get more freedom in my job because I'm my own boss, but then I also have to use my own resources. So if I want to create a website or do a presentation or get a Zoom account, that all comes from my own resources. And the main challenge is market know-how and credibility. So do people know you? Do they like you? are you actually credible? Can you actually do the thing that you advertise that you can do? And so that's really an initial challenge that a lot of entrepreneurs have to overcome.
And as an entrepreneur, I'm a value creator for a company. Whatever they need me to do, I make sure I get it done. There's less execution risk, meaning it's not my money. We're doing what we have to do to make it happen, but at the end of the day, it's not my business. And I'm using the company's resources. So whatever I need to get anything done, the company provides for us. And the main challenge with that is that you're working with other people and you're providing for their company, doing what they want you to do. So making sure that you have a good company culture.
So some of the differences, I think you heard the similarities as well as the different aspects of an entrepreneur and an entrepreneur is, what would you say some of the differences are?
So differences, really, to me, it seems like the entrepreneur, they have to have their own resources, but the entrepreneur, they're able to use the company's resources. So it's really about what your level of risk intake is, or what you see as feasible for you. However, what's really great about entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs is that the similarities that they have to use are research. They have to have creativity, whether they're developing solutions for their own business or for the company, as well as innovation. And just overall, when it comes to getting things done, something that entrepreneurs, or whatever business that you're in, you always have to look at schedule and cost no matter what you're doing. And more times than often, if you are creating something new, you would have to make some revisions to make sure that it's the right fit for whatever you need. So those are some skill sets that both need for success.
Yeah, I would totally agree that entrepreneur has more of the freedom. And I would say being an entrepreneur, it's kind of a 24-hour job, right? It's your business and you want to make money. So it's morning, noon, and night. But an entrepreneur is you have that company umbrella. You can check out and check in and have a work-life balance type of. But with the entrepreneur, you're really making money for yourself. But the entrepreneur has the kind of, I guess you can say, the safety net of the company to become a leader within that company. And then entrepreneurs trying to be a leader in society.
Well said. So now we will hear the journey of our entrepreneur and our entrepreneur. And we're going to start off with Jeray Cotton on her entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, for sure. So I attended the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, which we mentioned before. Go Blue.
Go Blue.
I knew I wanted to go into engineering like from the start because I love math so much. I still love math to this day. But I was unsure of all the different types of engineering. So when I attended the university, there are 12 different types of engineering, 12 different disciplines, and some of them I had never heard of. Being from the Motor City, I knew about mechanical engineering. Everybody wanted to work on cars, but I didn't know about the other 11 in detail. But I discovered industrial and operations engineering after trying the aerospace. I didn't quite get there, Jasmine and Jasmine. You guys were aerospace. I didn't quite make that, too much physics for me. But I discovered industrial and operations engineering, which I wasn't familiar with at all. Industrial and operations engineering is more like business engineering. The primary goal is to take a process and make it more efficient in the quality, the speed, and the cost. So you can apply that to pretty much any business, any industry. So I thought that was like a good path for me to go. And from there, in my time, I did a few internships. I listed them down here. I worked at Neutrogena in Los Angeles. It was a great time. I got to live in LA, talking to the California babes on the line. I had a good time in LA for 6 months. I actually received that internship through some connections I made with Jasmine Sadler. After that, I went on to work at Wyman Gordon, which is a small company in Brighton, Michigan. They make jet engine components. So I took the knowledge that I gained from my first co-op and kind of applied that there, even though it wasn't necessarily the job. I took everything that I had and all the knowledge and was able to bring it to the small company. And then after that, after working in a couple of like plant-like roles, I wanted to try a desk job. So I switched into supply chain at Abbott Laboratories in Chicago, and just to get an experience of working at a desk from 9 to 5. Would I like it? I didn't know. I didn't like it, so I decided to work in manufacturing. I thought I wanted to go into consumer goods primarily because when I worked at Neutrogena, I could see all of the products on the shelves and I saw them in the hospitals and just the impact products made to people. So I thought consumer goods was like the way to go. So I applied to a ton of different companies during my undergrad career. Unilever, Campbell's, General Mills, anything in consumer goods is where I wanted to go. And I landed at Pepsi. So I wanted to go back to California, but I ended up staying in Detroit and I worked at Pepsi for about 3.5 years. So during my time there, I was in a campus hire program, which is a professional development program where you rotate through all of the jobs at the plant just to get a good idea of how the industry works, because eventually once you're moving up the career ladder, you're supposed to be into a plant director role. So I was slinging cases of pop at the store. I was taking orders. I was riding on the trucks. I was doing every single role, counting and the inventory. So I really learned the ins and outs of Pepsi beverages. But once I got into my actual full-time role, it was a lot of just menial work and nothing that like truly challenged me. I just received an engineering degree from the University of Michigan, right? I got skills. I wanted to use my skills at Pepsi, and it wasn't a lot of opportunity there. And in my free time, in order to track the productivity of my team, I would design macros behind the scenes of Excel using VBA, which is something I learned in college. And I really enjoyed that. And I tried to transition into something that did that more often, but Pepsi just didn't have that space for me to move into that role. So I ultimately quit. I was done. I was like, I couldn't take it anymore. And I found this program on Facebook actually called Develop Her through a company called Grand Circus. And it's basically a boot camp where they teach you how to code. So with the coding knowledge I already had from college, I thought I'd take some time to just really sharpen my skills. It was a free program. It was actually scholarships from the Michigan Institute of Women in Technology, because the actual course is not free, but they provided scholarships for 20 women, and I was one of the 20 that was selected. I did this program for about 2 months or so. And after that, I interviewed at Rocket Mortgage, and I was excited to go into Rocket Mortgage as a software developer. I really enjoyed coding full time. I did that for about 3 years, and then I moved into leadership. They have a program at Rocket Mortgage called Aspiring Leaders Program. So anybody who's interested in leadership can take these courses to really help you develop your leadership skills on a personal side. And after I was finished with the program, one of the senior leaders asked me if I wanted to be a leader, and the story goes from there. So Rocket Mortgage is a great company to work for. We have tons of opportunities. I work on the actual rocketmortgage.com website right now, and I lead initiatives to enhance the site based on whatever requirements come from our business partners, or basically any complaints, common complaints, I guess, from clients. We also have some interesting things that we do at work. I know if you guys have heard of Rocket Mortgage, it's not a huge company, but it's pretty huge for Detroit. And there's so much going on. We actually have a program called Hack Week that we do for our engineers and allow them to develop any kind of thing that they want to do. And from that, people are able to create their own businesses. Like Rocket Fiber is coming out of Hack Week, as well as SIFT, a program that allows us to see all of our team members and get to know each other. I did a couple things from Hack Week. I did this contractor app called Rocket Reno, and an app for tracking your golf scores, Rocket Golf. And obviously everything's named Rocket at Rocket Mortgage, but they also send you to like conferences. So it's like a very strong culture surrounding learning. So I've been to the Grace Hopper conferences for women in engineering. I've also been at Afrotech and the Women of Color in STEM conference. And we have opportunities just for students. We have tons of internship programs that come across. There's about 1,200 interns that come each year, and we even had a virtual internship over the summertime, so that was awesome. We also have a huge culture surrounding volunteering. So we have a program that's built in called QSTEM. Rocket Mortgage is formerly known as Quicken Loans, so everything used to be named Q Everything, but now everything's named Rocket Everything. And in the QSTEM program, we have our engineers teach Detroit Public School students in the middle school area how to code. So our team members take half a day every so often and go meet with the students and really teach them the basics of coding. And we also have programs for our team members who are already in Rocket Mortgage. You can basically transition into technology if you want. We have a program called DevBuild where we will pay you like your regular salary and you learn how to code full time for a few weeks, and then you transition into a technology role. So we kind of build our engineers. When we hire, we're hiring for that drive. We can always teach you how to code. You can get everything you need to get while you're here. We hire the person, not the role. So love it at Rocket Mortgage. I've been here 4 years now, so it's been a little bit longer than I lasted at Pepsi, so I think we're still good. I do tons of projects. I'm able to have a voice in a lot of the work that I do. I make tons of decisions, and it's like seen by millions of people on the regular basis on rocketmortgage.com. All right, Jasmine.
Wow. That's a really cool journey. So I learn something new about you all the time. So that's great. So my journey started off still same kind of theme, the aerospace engineer, University of Michigan. I also got a math minor while I was there. I came into college with AP Calc credit. And so I was able to get my math prerequisites knocked out pretty quickly. So I still love math. And so I'm like, well, let me just take some more math classes as my technical elective that we had to take. But while I was there, I was also part of a sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and then I danced on a dance team. So my team was called Encore Multicultural. It's a dance group, and that's what kept me balanced because I grew up dancing my whole life, but then I loved math, and then I learned to love engineering once I knew what it was, and it's all about problem solving. So the reason I started into aerospace was in high school when I had to decide on my major. I was like, do I want to major in dance or major in engineering? Like, that's how equally important they both were to me. But then there's a space shuttle disaster, Space Shuttle Columbia, and I realized, people shouldn't be dying doing the coolest job that's out of this world. People shouldn't be dying doing that. So I wanted to solve that problem. And so that's why a lot of women usually get into the space of engineering, is because we see something either around our communities or around our families or with other people that we can help with. And so that's why I did aerospace engineering. And so while I was there, even before I started at school that summer, before, a lot of the counselors were talking about National Society of Black Engineers, which really proved to be a great asset to my entire career journey. I definitely owe a lot of my engineering success and completing engineering to the National Society of Black Engineers. And because of that, I'm a life member today, where I've served on the collegiate board. So while I was a student, I was the treasurer, where we managed a $50,000 budget as just college students. And then I was also on the conference planning committee twice. So different conferences that were around the region, but then I served on the regional board as the programs chair. So as an alumni, I was doing that. but then also go to the conferences, and the companies I was with sent me as a recruiter so that we could bring back diverse talent into the workforce. So National Society of Black Engineers, love it, still hold true to everything that it stands for. So from there, I got, I think, all of my internships, except maybe my first one, from the National Society of Black Engineers annual national convention. And so my first one was at the Environmental Protection Agency, or the EPA. So it was a government kind of internship, but it was actually the summer before I started college. So there were a couple of different transition programs for students transitioning from high school to University of Michigan, especially in engineering. And so I was in a program where we had internships, paid internships, the summer before I even started college. But then from there, different internships that I got at the National Society of Black Engineers Convention were with GE Aviation. So I worked there 2 summers in a row. And then also with GE Energy. So GE Aviation deals with aircraft engines and designing those, and that's in Cincinnati, Ohio. GE Energy was in Greenville, South Carolina. And then my final internship was with Northrop Grumman in San Diego. And so didn't really care for those desk jobs, as Jure would say. I liked working at a desk, but I didn't like those jobs. So, but I knew I loved San Diego. So that was pretty much the big lesson out of my internships. I didn't really have a strong desire to be a design engineer, like those roles wanted me to be, but that's where I learned what I didn't like about working. And so from there, I also studied abroad in Hong Kong. So I went to the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, and so visited a bunch of countries on the weekends when we weren't in school. So Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, Korea, Xi'an, Beijing, Macau, Philippines. My brother was actually living in Korea at the time, so I spent spring break with him in Korea. So it was just an awesome experience, made lifelong connections. I still keep in touch with some of my classmates that are in Hong Kong and some that are in America, and so, and Sweden, and all over the world. And so it was an amazing experience. Definitely recommend it, and look into it for any of the Greater Than Tech students who are looking. Definitely check it out. I just did my last semester over there, and just one thing about that was the difference in education and education system. I had one math class where our entire grade was based on the final exam, and that was it. So if you didn't do well on the final exam, you didn't pass the class. So just understanding like the whole dynamic of people that we consider in America to be really smart that may have come from Hong Kong. What we found out was that they only send like their top 1%, or at the time when I went, they're like only sending the top 1% of students to school in America, where they would send all of us to study abroad there, even if we weren't the top 1%. So that was just another experience in education that I had. From there, I worked in the energy and aerospace sector. So first started off in military defense with Raytheon, but then that's where I also got introduced to like logistics and failure analysis. So predicting how something's going to fail, predicting how long it'll last. And then from there in San Diego, came here for a job under Caterpillar. It's a company called Solar Turbines, and we do oil and gas turbines. And so that's how you get the gas to your gas stove in your houses, push gas through pipelines, or push oil to oil rigs. So it's like that turning air into energy is what my whole career was in. And so my last job that I had was with the FAA engine repair company. So it was FAA certified. We would repair different engines from different manufacturers and for different companies. So Delta, Korean Airlines, Japan, so lots of different certifications. But so I had a time to be the interim quality manager there, and realized as I was interim that I was spending a whole lot of time at work and not as much time on my company, which is what I really love to do. So Adorn the World is a big part of my life. I started that in 2014. That was what my company was named, and it just started off as a math tutoring company. And that's what I started off doing, just wanted kids to love math as much as I did. But then when teachers found that out, some of them started inviting me to the classroom and said, can you just stand over there? I can say she's a rocket scientist and then you can leave. But of course I couldn't just do that. So I started doing engineering presentations, combining dance in some of those, so that especially audiences of girls who were already interested in dance found that connection point. And so teaching them physics concepts and speed and distance and time and all of that through dance choreography, but then also during cultural events to make sure that students of color and girls were really connecting with what we were teaching. And so from there, went and pursued my master's in business administration at Point Loma Nazarene University. And so my concentration was innovation and entrepreneurship. And that was all because I just wanted to learn how to run a business. I'm the first generation entrepreneur. My parents were both computer specialists. My brother is a computer engineer. And nobody could really tell me how to run a business within my family. So I wanted to just get more education, and I love learning more. And so when I got that, also ended up being the student of the year in my program and participated in the Global Social Innovation Challenge at University of San Diego. That I was one of the winners, which gave me some money to put on a program called the STEAM Leader Summit, which really transitioned my company from Adorn the World, which was just all-encompassing things that I love to do, to the STEAM Collaborative, which I work with mid-size, youth-focused nonprofit organizations to design and implement STEAM programming, so science, technology, engineering, art, and math. And lately I've been working for distance learning hubs and creating those and designing those, and also doing group math tutoring online and community building. So when people are trying to figure out how to reach the right audiences, especially the ones that are underserved and in need, they contact me to hook them up or get them together so that when they actually do interact with those audiences, that they're trusted and welcomed into those spaces. So thanks.
Thank you, Jasmine. Especially, that's really good. I appreciate it, Soror. And Jure, I saw that you had a co-op in LA. I'm from LA, so it's nice to hear some things I didn't know about both of you guys. I really appreciate it. So we're gonna get into the Q&A session. Dun, dun, dun. So if you have any questions, please submit it in the comment section of YouTube. But we're just gonna first have some pre-selected questions for you guys. If you guys don't mind answering it, we're gonna shoot away. And I'll start off with the first question for you, Jasmine. You're the lucky contestant. What made you leave corporate? So what made you transition to entrepreneurship full time? And how'd you know you were ready?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I started off, like I said, as an engineer, early career engineer, and I was actually in Indianapolis, Indiana at the time. So different culture, smaller city than I was used to. But yeah, within 6 months of starting, I was like, I can't do this for another 30 years. Like, this is just not going to happen for me. So I realized that pretty early on. And so I thought about, what would I do? Like, if I started a business, or would I just join another company? And especially since I did have so many internships, I knew kind of what that would be like if I just went to another company. And so it always felt like it would be the same experience. And for the most part, it pretty much was. And so, within the 6 months, that's when I knew that I wanted to start my own company. But then when I finally moved to San Diego and got a little more established out here, so after 4 years in business, 4 years working as an engineer, that's when I officially started my company. And then I knew that I will ultimately transition to it full time. So I know Greater Than Tech is going through all of this, great startup space now, and making sure things are set so that you can grow from here. And so that was really what I was thinking about. But what made me really launch the company back then was just in case somebody wanted to pay me, or just in case somebody wanted me to take the leap and do it full time, even back then, that I would be ready. And so, as you all know, and then one of our moderators that we have on here, Antoinette, I want to shout her out, that she was one of the first people to give me a chance and to give me an actual kind of position to work with girls and develop what a competition would look like for the girls. And so that was like, wow, this is what I really love to do. And that's what I would do for free. So let me just do this and figure out how to get paid for it a little bit better. And so, like I said, I went to school and learned a bit more how to do it. But then I knew it was time when I finally got one of my dream jobs, which was to be the quality manager, and got a taste of that being the interim manager, and was like, wow, now I can't do presentations, I can't do workshops. I have to be at work by 6 a.m. every day, because there's a stand-up meeting at 6 a.m. every day. So I'm waking up at 4:30, not leaving work until 5 or later. And so when people were asking me to do the things that I love to do, I had to turn them down. And so my brother gave me a real wake-up call one day and said, and you're okay with that? And I'm like, yes, I want to sleep. I want to get some rest. This is good. And he's like, so you're okay not doing the thing you love so you can get some more rest doing the thing that you're not as passionate about. And so that was really what started the ultimate journey of like, okay, let me get out of here. Let me do what I started.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Jasmine. That's very inspirational. We have a question for Jeray. You spoke very highly about Rocket Mortgage, so we're curious on what's your favorite thing about working for Rocket Mortgage and what keeps you there?
Yeah, for sure. My favorite thing is so many. I would say the culture overall, like the overall culture keeps me there. I came from a place where people care about the wrong things at work. And those kind of things could be like the way my hair looks. Like I got so many just like complaints and stuff because I was in a managerial position at Pepsi. So they just were focusing on things that had nothing to do with my work. I also like that it's a little bit more purposeful. When I was at Pepsi, I didn't really get a chance to do things that were impactful, and just being at Quicken Loans and working on rocketmortgage.com, I've been able to like really be involved in the COVID related work. So making sure that clients are able to keep their homes is like crazy big to me. Everybody's going through so much stuff right now, and just being able to be a part of that, like I literally did that, is keeping me there. I mean, they have a lot of perks. It's also a lot of perks, like even being in office. We're downtown Detroit. We get fed every day. They're paying for my master's right now, 100%. They gave everybody shares to the company. There's a gym, there's a daycare, there's like just a good culture. And even though I'm like one of the few, I still feel involved, like I have a voice in the company. So that's why I like it.
That's really good. So I'm going to hit you with another one, Dre. So what do you admire most about entrepreneurship?
About
being an entrepreneur?
What I admire most about being an entrepreneur? I like leading and developing. I like being able to lead.
That's good. So we're going to twist it. And what do you like most about being an entrepreneur?
Or what do you like most about entrepreneurship?
Yeah, for sure. I think the thing that I like most is the passion and being able to follow your passions. You can pick exactly what you want to do and just follow your dreams. Whereas like being an entrepreneur, I'm literally doing what they asked me to do. I'm executing, and I'm still being able to, create, but it's within a space that I didn't make.
And we're going to piggyback on that and ask Jasmine the same question. So Jasmine, what do you like the most about being an entrepreneur, and what do you appreciate about entrepreneurship?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm gonna do the same shape Dre made. Like being entrepreneur, you can be outside of this box of things. And so you don't have any confines, including salary or how much money you make. And so, yes, it can be what we talked about earlier, the financial risk and just difficult to start up maybe, but there is no cap, where if you're at your job, then there's a salary grade and a salary band, and you really can't make more until somebody else tells you can, unless you have a side hobby or side hustle or your side company or something like that. And so there is no confines, there is no mats, there is no anything. So you don't have a roof, or as we say in engineering, a roof and the floor. Like, you don't have any bounds for whatever you want to do. And so I've also kind of found that interesting when coming out with like a second brand to my company, Jazz Maven, which is like this social piece of like connecting the right people with each other. And I'm like, no, this is the STEAM Collaborative and this is Jazz Maven, and these two things are separate. And I'm like, when have these two things ever been separate? Like, I am both of these things, just like I am STEAM, I'm STEM and arts. And so it doesn't have to be the confines that we've grown up knowing. And so you don't have to put limits on yourself. But then what I did like most about working is, yeah, definitely having the finances and, all of that to live your lifestyle and eat wherever you want to, and really just being able to be around people that are unlike yourself. And so I did like that about work, that like you can't choose who you work with. And so you have to figure out a way to be smarter than the environment that you're in. And you have to figure out the next way to kind of outsmart and rise up through the career ladder. And so that's its own challenge. But I found for me that it was best to encourage more people to join that space. So then our backgrounds and our culture is embedded in the company culture, and not necessarily have to prove or break through a glass ceiling while working.
Thanks, Jasmine. That's actually really good to hear, because even thinking about it myself and thinking about being an entrepreneur, I was like, I'm not trying to take it back to undergrad days, a cup of noodles and mac and cheese in a cup. I don't know if I can struggle that hard again, but it's good to see you're moving towards it, and you kind of work it out to save.
What I will say on that, I haven't had a cup of noodles full time. That doesn't have to be your story, and I think that was a big part of like why I stayed. One of the reasons I stayed working as long as I did is so that I could plan my exit and that I could have control over that, instead of it having control over me, where sometimes within your job they can tell you you're fired whenever they want to. And so I just wanted to leave on top and leave with my confidence and leave with my self-respect, and being able to control that destiny for myself, but then also planning it out with a financial planner of an appropriate time to leave and all of that, because I haven't had a cup of noodles yet. I haven't really changed my lifestyle much. And so this has been a really great time to be an entrepreneur, where taxes and tax breaks and things that Jeray created through Rocket Mortgage, being a homeowner, being able to defer things, and so it's been a really a big blessing for me.
So, Jeray, you mentioned earlier a little bit about the environment at Pepsi, about like your hair. Are there some other challenges that you face as a Black woman in tech? And Jasmine, we want you to answer that question too. So, Jeray, could you expand on that a little bit more?
Yeah, there are several challenges. I mean, in my area, even though I work in the Blackest city in America, there's not very many Black people in technology. And Quicken Loans employs, or Rocket Mortgage is interchangeable. It's rebranded to Rocket Mortgage, but it employs a lot of Black people. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not trying to say that. It's just the area that I work in, there aren't very many. So even it's about 150 of us on the servicing side of the business, and there are 3 Black women, and I'm the only one in leadership. and I'm the only one with a technical background. So I faced a lot of little small challenges. I think Rocket Mortgage does a good job of trying to bring to light some of those issues. We have town halls all the time, just blatantly facing some of the major issues that are going on in life. Some of the microaggressions we face, like we talk about it. It's not taboo to talk about politics or stuff like any other company. We talk about racism at work. We talk about it and have it like on. But I think some of the things besides like the hair could be just even my voice. I'm a Black woman, so I have a very strong voice, and people take my voice as being mean or negative or something like that. I just had a conversation with my leader, and I feel like we have good relationships. We can have these conversations, which is another reason why I'm still staying. But like they've changed the conversation to be, because I'm in leadership, around my personality and how I come off. And I just basically had to say, like, you're trying to assume a certain personality onto me that's not my personality. And because it's not your usual personality or what you expect, you're thinking that I have to change who I am just to please you guys, which I'm not about to do. So I think just the things about me and who I am is just not represented often in the space, so people don't know how to react to them. If I have a question, or sometimes I may challenge something that somebody says, like, and they take that as I don't understand what they just said. And I get it. I'm like, I understand exactly what you're saying. I'm saying I disagree. And I have to do that a lot at work. Like, I'm not slow. Like, I understand exactly what you mean. I just do not agree with you. So like, you saying it again isn't like the point here. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are good. Yeah. Yeah, so some of the difficulties. So I'll start off with similar statistics, I guess, of just like my last company that I was at. It was 120 people at the whole site, and I was the only Black engineer. I was the only woman engineer, and I was the only Black woman there at all. So it was that was just interesting because I went from a company that was larger, so they had a few more, but it was still a very small percentage of the workforce. But being like literally 1 out of 120, it's less than 1%. And I represented all of that. So before I came, no, and then after I left, none. And so now it's 0%. So it's that just in itself built a lot of just difficulty. And similar to Jure, when I'm explaining a concept or trying to teach somebody how to do something, and they're assuming I don't know, but as a woman, I also have tried to like finesse things in a way that, I'm asking them and like suggesting something, but one word that my mentor taught me was perhaps, instead of saying like, so what do don't y'all think we should do this? One of my mentors said, perhaps we can consider this as an idea. And then that's just a good way to start off that doesn't really off-put people. But then, it got to a point where I'm like, I'm spending more energy on trying to find the right words that don't offend people and trying to translate what I'm saying because I'm in the room with the other managers, with the site leader. And even at my other company, I was in the room with the president of the company, things like that. And so but I'm also in manufacturing. So there are a lot of people who are technicians or inspectors who just speak differently, and are teaching me Spanish, whenever I would go to the floor and things like that. And so being able to first say it the way that I would understand it, then say it in the way that the manager, the top, would understand it, then say it at the way that the technicians would understand it. And I'm like, I have to say this same statement 4 different ways just to make sure somebody doesn't say my same idea and then they get credit for it. And so I think that was a big piece of the difficulty. And then the ultimate difficulty was breaking through the glass ceiling, which was extremely real, which is why I left the one company what I was at, and then which was why I ultimately left corporate, is because one, I wouldn't get the opportunity to be the manager. And then when I finally got the opportunity to be the interim manager, I had to basically re-interview 6 months after I started the job that they hired me to be the manager, to transition into being the manager. I had to re-interview for that job against somebody who ultimately got the position. He was very well qualified, but he was also a white man who got the position, and I had to train him. And so, before I left, he definitely mentioned, like, I thought you had been here for 4 years. I thought you had worked at this company for 4 years, like the relationships that you've built, the amount of knowledge, how you're able to transition me so easily, the documentation that you've done and provided for me. But at the time, I had only been there for 9 months, and he thought that I had worked there for 4 years. So, that just kind of speaks to how when we come into this space, we do show up, and we are sometimes even more qualified than the position that we're in. And so, so that's where the difficulty comes in.
Yeah, for sure. They told me at work I need to smile more. We're on Zoom right now, so everybody's like looking at my face. So they're like, you need to smile more. But I'm like, nothing's funny though. Like, what am I laughing at? I don't understand.
Yeah,
It's not funny.
I was told I need to be more firm and like mean and like a micromanager, because that was the way that I would be successful. And even recently I was told that, and I'm like, that's never been a part of my personality, to like really be aggressive and have people scared of me. And that was what the site leader was telling me at the time, like that I wasn't gaining the respect of people, because when I went to the floor, they're teaching me new terms in Spanish and teaching me like about, asking me what I'm doing for the weekend, and then have me tell them in Spanish what I'm doing for the weekend, compared to him, whenever he would come to the floor, they're just, working and acting like almost like the Wiz when she would come and just really aggressive and attacking, and then they would just act like they're working. And for me, they would just be like, oh, hey, what. And so I was told I needed to change that in order to gain their respect, even though I had the respect and not him. Yeah.
Thank you. So just wrapping this up, and this next question again is for both of you guys. And due to time, we ask that it just be no more than 2 or 3 minutes. But taking it back to Greater Than Tech, as you guys know, Greater Than Tech is dedicated to teaching young girls of color engineering and business concepts to be young tech leaders, and whether that's in an entrepreneur or intrapreneur phase. But what advice do you have for these young girls that want to enter tech space? And Jasmine, since you're the last one to talk, I'll let you answer this real quick.
Yeah, there's definitely a space for you. We've been waiting for you to join the tech space. We need more people who look like us. And so just like how a lot of us stayed in corporate or are in corporate right now so that you can see us in this space, we want to see you. Like, you're the reason that we're in tech, that we're in STEM and STEAM education. You're the girls that I'm trying to get to be like Jeray and like Jasmine and like Brittany, so that it won't be so weird when we're all there. And so we need you in this tech space. So come join us.
Yeah, and I would say just a couple of things. Just keep learning, like always learn, continuously learn, and never stop learning. That's just always. And then be yourself. Don't let nobody change you. Like, you're gonna come to trials and tribulations along the way. Just be your most authentic self throughout it all.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
That was well said, both of you. And just from a Greater Than Tech standpoint, we want to help nurture and cultivate girls of color to have that confidence to enter the tech space. So we really encourage our viewers and our supporters to sign up for our newsletter at greaterthantech.org and just follow us on our social media and stay in touch with us. And overall, we really want to build that pipeline. We're starting at middle school. So we're trying to get girls thinking about engineering and business very early on in their life so they feel as though the possibilities are endless for them. And we, like Jasmine said, we want to have representation at every level, every aspect, corporate, business owners, the list goes on. So we're just really grateful to have two very versatile women of color be a part of this. And we hope that this allows people to feel more confident and encourage girls to join us in the tech space.
Yeah, if I can add to that, the advice that I would give is that each and every one of us were those little girls, right? You heard from Jure as well as both Jasmine, especially Jasmine Sadler, on their experience. And it's not just them. All of us have been through the experience. So we were those girls and we are those girls. And we're here to help navigate and help you bust through those doors as well as overcome those barriers or to prepare you. So unfortunately, I don't know about anyone else, I didn't have Greater Than Tech, or I didn't have certain resources to help me navigate. I think I'll probably be a more successful person if I had someone to navigate those experiences or teach me how to navigate those experiences. And maybe I, would have did things a little bit differently. So that's what Greater Than Tech is for. That's what we're all here for, is to help build that pipeline. So thank you so much to our speakers. I really appreciate hearing from you.
Great job, ladies. Thank you for
Thanks for having us.